Hello and welcome to the latest webinar from Essent. Today we're going to show you how to get started on business analysis so you can always get the most out of your technology. My name is Doug Brill. I'm the Essent Marketing Coordinator and I specialize in the promotional products industry. And I'm also your moderator today. Before we begin, a very brief overview of Essent. Essent is the leader in providing comprehensive business management solutions since 1981. Essent has been serving distributors, decorators, and suppliers in the promotional products industry since the year 2000, and more than $3 billion in commerce flow through Essent solutions each year. And a little bit about Essent when it comes to business analysis. Essent performs business analysis sessions for promotional products companies every day. Dozens of promotional products companies use Essent business analysis services each year. And throughout the course of a year, Essent is analyzing businesses that collectively handle billions of dollars in transactions. When Essent does business analysis, it comes down to taking a hard look at three questions. What does the business do? What does the software do? And what can the business and software do together? Let's take a look at the business-technology relationship. At the beginning, the business has its operations, the technology has its capabilities, and you find the best way that they work together. But what happens next? Both the business and the technology evolve over time. The business adds clients, staff, processes, services, and more. And the software provider adds features, functionality, best practices, solutions, and more. But businesses will rarely pause to evaluate how these new improvements can work together. So the business remains right where it started. It's using the technology the way it did from the get-go, and that probably still works. But the business and technology are both improved now, so is it working the best it can? That's what makes business analysis the way to make sure you get the most out of your software. It comes right back to those three central questions. What does the business do? What does the software do? And what can the business and software truly do together? And with that, here to take you into greater detail is your presenter, Will Austin. Will is a business analyst for Essent, and he'll tell you about using business analysis to always get the most out of your software.
Thank you very much, Doug. So when getting started on a business analysis, it helps to think of your business in terms of parts that make up the whole. So you have activities, which are like building blocks of your business. An activity could be something like emailing a quote and following up, and then those activities come together to form a process. That quote and follow-up will be part of a larger sales process, for example. And then finally, those processes come together to form the business. So the strength of the processes is the strength of the business. Now, once you envision your business in that way, it's easier to see how to approach the analysis. You could take a bottom-up approach where you look at the activities that make up a process. Or you could take a top-down approach where you look at the processes that make up a business. So we have a bottom-up analysis, which is typically easier to perform than a top-down analysis. And actually, it tends to be more narrow in scope because, well, you're seeking to optimize a specific process and not the entire business. And it also usually involves staff as opposed to managers or senior managers. And since it's narrow and focused on activities, it tends to be quicker than a top-down analysis. And typically it's used for smaller implementations. These are your quick hitter type of projects that you might have. And the top-down analysis is generally more involved. It's broad in scope because, well, you're seeking to optimize several processes, not just one. And it usually includes managers and senior managers as opposed to staffers. It's longer than a bottom-up analysis because, again, you're looking at more processes. And typically, it's going to be used for bigger implementations. So now we're going to review some of the examples of when to use each, and that's going to help show the difference between the bottom-up and the top-down analysis. Now you might use a bottom-up analysis when implementing a new CRM, but you would use a top-down analysis for implementing a whole new business management system. You would use a bottom-up analysis to optimize sales order entry. But use a top-down analysis to optimize the whole sales department. And if you're a distributor providing fulfillment services and want to improve those services, you would use a bottom-up analysis to focus on the activities that make up the process of fulfillment. Whereas if you're a dropship distributor who wants to offer fulfillment services for the first time, that would be a top-down analysis. Ultimately, bottom-up and top-down analysis they're two approaches to answering the first central question of what does the business do? And the next step then is determining what the business wants the technology to do. The business can use best practices that are already inside the technology, or it can look into software engineering to add functionality. Most businesses want the built-in best practices. They want the functionality that's in the box. So a gap fit analysis looks at the existing functionality and matches it to the business. Those are called the fits. It also identifies where the software can't do what the business wants, and those are called gaps. So when looking at fits a little closer, a fit is when the business wants a process or activity automated, and the software is able to automate it with its built-in functionality. And then it's just a matter of identifying the configurations, settings, features, and functionality to perform the automation. A gap is the opposite. So business wants a process or an activity automated, but the software doesn't currently have the functionality to automate it. So generally speaking, gaps are expected because no software system automates every unique business rule and process. And once a gap is identified, it's a matter of analyzing how to fill it. So you can fill a gap with a manual process. For example, a business wants to automatically convert a quote to a sales order, but the software can't do that. Then the business would manually enter, or actually manually re-enter the quote as a sales order. The gap could also be filled with another software. So functionality that's not available in a basic edition might be available in an enterprise or premium edition. There's also the option of custom software engineering. If the functionality doesn't exist, the technology provider can create it. So when a business wants functionality that's not already in the software, it uses an engineering analysis. The analysis could be to fill a gap, like the example we just provided. And that would include identifying, designing, and developing new features and functionality for the software. An engineering analysis could also be for integrating systems. So maybe a business wants to add a new software to software. An engineering analysis could determine how to make the platforms work together. Another example would be for integrating trading partners. If a distributor and a supplier wanted to automatically communicate orders, an engineering analysis could be used to determine how to integrate the business communications. So essentially, the business and technology provider examine how to create a new software solution. So first, the business process is defined step by step, and then the automation is defined step by step, and the result is ultimately a development design or proposal that details how the solution will be built. So now we're going to compare those types. So this comparison is going to help show the difference between, again, the gap fit analysis and an engineering analysis. So a gap fit analysis focuses on existing software. An engineering analysis focuses on creating a software solution that doesn't exist yet. A gap fit analysis is quicker because it doesn't require design or development, and an engineering analysis is usually more in-depth because it involves creating solutions from scratch. The gap fit analysis is usually a smaller investment, and the engineering analysis is the greater investment, but also potentially a greater return. So which analysis type is right? A gap fit analysis covers the majority of implementations. The business decision is to go with a software platform that brings built-in best practices, or the business wants to take a fresh look at its existing software to see what more it can do for their business. Whereas an engineering analysis is used in fewer implementations, it's for a business that wants to add new functionality to a software system or wants to create a whole new software platform or integration. So the gap fit and engineering analysis are two approaches to answering the second central question: what does the software do? Now that we know what the software does, we've reviewed 4 analysis types. A bottom-up analysis, which is smaller in scope and looks at activities. A top-down analysis, which looks at processes. The gap fit analysis looks at existing software functionality, and an engineering analysis that looks at creating new software functionality. So if we take a closer look at how the analysis types work together, you can look at business activities and existing technology with a bottom-up gap fit analysis. Like if you wanted to automate quoting, again, you could use that bottom-up gap fit to find a software system that does it. Or you could look at the processes and existing technology with a top-down gap fit analysis, like if you wanted to optimize your sales process, so you'd use that top-down gap fit to find, again, a system that does that. For bottom-up engineering analysis, you'd look at the activities and new technology. For example, if you wanted to automatically communicate order status to your trading partner, you would need new technology solutions to integrate the systems. And finally, you can look at processes and new technology using a top-down engineering analysis. You would use this if you're creating a totally new software solution for maybe your sales department to optimize your whole sales department. Now, combining those approaches helps you ask the most important question of all. What can business and software truly do together? Now I'm going to turn it back over to Doug, who's going to tell you how you can learn more.
Thank you very much, Will. Business analysis is a way to get the most out of your software. Taking a fresh look at what your business does and what your software does lets you know what they can do together. You can learn more at essent.com/analysis. There you'll find a recap of much of what we discussed today, plus an FAQ about business analysis services provided by Essent. While you're there, you can also register for a free consultation to find out if business analysis services are right for your company. Again, visit essent.com/analysis to learn more and to get your free consultation. Thanks again to everyone for attending today's webinar. Get the most out of your software with business analysis.